What is up? Rocky Mountain Astro here. It's been a very long time since I posted anything on my YouTube channel, and I'm really excited. A few days ago, I asked you to send me all your personal opinions about controversial topics on astrophotography. In this video, I'm going to be calling you out and telling you whether or not I agree, or whether or not I disagree, or whether or not we can just agree to disagree. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, the first one is from Astro Dans. Astro Dan said, one-shot color versus mono is moot. It's the processing capability of the individual, period. Okay, so with this being said, one-shot color versus mono is, okay, I'm gonna disagree. I love you, Dan. I'm gonna disagree. Mono is going to be more sensitive. It's going to give you better resolution. It's just better in nearly all aspects besides convenience, which he does make a point. You know, if you don't want to deal with LRGB SHO filters and you just want to shoot a color photo, then, and you're not, super dedicated into getting the best photos you can, then a one-shot color is the way to go. But he also said that post-processing, it's the ability of the post-processor that makes the difference. And I somewhat agree, but I will mostly disagree with that statement simply because I have post-processed one-shot color data and I have post-processed monochrome data, specifically narrowband data. I can never achieve the level of depth and detail and smoothness in a one-shot color with a dual band filter that I can with a monochrome camera with SHO filters. To me, there is absolutely no comparison. So no, I don't think that conversation between one-shot color and monochrome is moot. Otherwise, Hubble and all the other fucking satellites up there would be using one-shot color cameras. And to be perfectly clear though, in context, he does say if you're good at mono, then absolutely it's better. But for 80% of users, nope, one-shot color will result in a better final image. I think it will result in a better final image if a beginner astrophotographer was to have a one-shot color camera and a monochrome camera in front of them and they use it for the first month. A one-shot color camera is probably going to give them better results because it's easier to use. The data is just, it's there, you process it. With a monochrome color, they have to understand, you have to change filters, you have to do this, you have to do that, process each filter individually before you combine them. It's more work, but slowly but surely, monochrome will surpass the one-shot color in quality and detail. And so, yeah, I understand what he means, but if you're serious about astrophotography, then shoot one-shot or shoot monochrome. Buy the monochrome, go balls deep and buy monochrome, and it's the way to go. Okay, next we have Arcturus Astro and Non-Jorman. They both kind of said the same thing, and I got a lot of this. This is Topaz Labs. Topaz AI, Topaz sharpening should not be used on astro photos. Non-Jorman says, have fun and deep fry your image to the max, but don't try to pass off the processing artifacts as real detail. I 1000% agree. If you're gonna shoot the Crescent Nebula for 4 hours with a one-shot color camera and a Optolong L Extreme, and you're gonna use Topaz AI Sharpen and make it look like it was taken with a 16-inch Arcos, stop. If you're gonna use Topaz AI, if you're gonna use Topaz denoise, you have to mention it in your comments. One, because it's just untruthful, but you also have to consider that there are people who are unexperienced with 4-inch refractors looking at your images and saying, hey, my image doesn't look anything like this. I am light years away from post-processing skills. This guy, I'm never gonna achieve that level of detail. I don't know how he does it. And then they throw their APO in the trash. I think Topaz Labs does have its place, not the sharpening. I do not think Topaz AI, the sharpening software, has a place in astrophotography. I think it's like Non-Jorman said, it gives you artificial details that aren't there, and it makes it look better than it actually is from far away. If you pixel peep, like experienced astrophotographers do, and should, because you should pixel peep the hell out of an image, in my opinion, then you're going to see the artifacts and be like, oh, and completely discredit the image. At least that's what I do. AI noise reduction is okay. I think it's okay. And I've used it in 1 or 2 of my images on the backgrounds, you know, masking out the nebula, using it on the backgrounds very, very, very conservatively. Like, move that noise reduction slider to a 1 out of 100 and it should do the job. Yeah, that I don't have a problem with. If your image looks too smooth, less noisy, it's a lot better than it being falsely detailed. So I agree. Okay, the next one is a good one from Geoshock. Geoshock says that post-processing is more important than capturing when learning astrophotography. Now the key word here, I think, is when learning astrophotography. With this statement, I'm going to disagree and say that capturing is more important than post-processing, simply because it is 50-50. You know, astrophotography is, you know, half data acquisition, half post-processing. If you don't get enough data, if your data looks like crap, then post-processing it's going to be way more difficult than it needs to be, and it's going to take you way longer. So for learning astrophotographers or beginner astrophotographers specifically, I would highly recommend that you spend more time collecting a lot of data, collecting clean data, taking your calibration frames, getting a nice quality data set, because when you upload that into PixInsight or Photoshop, you're going to have you're not going to have to just noise reduce and crank the saturation. You're going to have good data, so you're only going to have to make a fraction of the post-processing adjustments that you would if you were, you know, if you had a crappy data set. Okay, and Rune_Astro stuff. He sent me duct tape. If you go outside and look out this window right now, you will see my rig with, I have duct tape holding one of my USB cables in because the connection's loose. I have duct tape holding a t-shirt around the back of my Newtonian because there's light leakage through the primary mirror cell. I have duct tape holding my cables. They're actually duct taped to my Newt. Duct tape's gonna save your ass, so absolutely duct tape. Use duct tape. Use electrical tape. Anything to make your life a little easier. Well, zip ties. Zip ties and Velcro ties are awesome. Yeah, those are really nice. Sometimes not as convenient as duct tape. Okay, and the last one is from Midwest Astro, and he says, oversaturated images make great astro photos. Wrong. Maybe for art, but not astrophotography. Now this is where science and art go head to head. What is science and what is art? I personally don't enjoy oversaturated images that much. I sometimes find myself oversaturating my images, maybe just a tad, but I like to stay on the more natural side. I find this statement hard to either agree or disagree because it's so subjective to the astrophotographer. I typically don't like highly saturated images, but I do like color in astrophotos. But I also see the attractiveness of a photo that's not completely saturated in color, because to me that's probably what it would look like in space if your eyes could see it, you know, or if you had a huge telescope that could detect the color of a galaxy, or if you're sitting over a galaxy, being able to see it in all its splendor and glory. I don't think it would be oversaturated in color. It would be mostly white, I think, with maybe some color. You can see color in the stars. That's not the point. It's hard to agree or disagree with this statement, and it's completely subjective, and it hits that line between science and art. I think you collect the data in your filters, you load them, you stack them, you eliminate the bad frames, stack the good frames, science, you stretch them. Right when you stretch your data, right when it goes from linear to non-linear, it becomes art. Now, I think my job as an astrophotographer is to create a photo that is as color accurate as I can possibly create a photo that is as color accurate as I can possibly create. But, you know, what is accurate? So, you know, a nebula is not going to be green. Midwest Astro, you do bring up a good point, but it's subjective. All right, well, again, I am Rocky Mountain Astro. You can follow me. Hopefully, I'd like to do more things like this. I found it pretty fun, and hearing all of your responses was awesome. Again, if you want to comment in the comments and let me know some other topics, I will consider that for my next disagree or agree to disagree session. Maybe we'll have someone join me. I'd love to do a collaboration with somebody. I think that would be really fun, and have a discussion over what is and what isn't, or what should be and what shouldn't be. So, thank you so much, and clear skies.